While waiting for the bus, the boy saw an elderly lady's wheelchair stuck in a tree pit. Being a good student as he always was, he went forward and helped push the elderly lady out. Afterward, the elderly lady praised him for being such a good child, but when leaving, she suddenly hung a plastic bag. After a few steps, she got stuck in the tree pit again. David decided to help her all the way, by personally escorting the elderly lady home. After all, the bus wouldn't arrive for another 30 minutes. The elderly lady didn't refuse his kindness. She pointed David in the direction of her home, then took out a folding screen phone, said she would be home in 3 minutes, and asked her daughter to wait downstairs. They chatted happily along the way. After learning that the boy liked dogs, she offered to give him one. This made David extremely happy. Then she showed him photos of the dog. The cuteness made David want to adopt it right away. Soon the boy escorted the elderly lady back home, but David was shocked by what he saw. This apartment building didn't look inhabited at all. It looked like it had been abandoned for hundreds of years. Seeing her daughter hadn't come out, the elderly lady called again, asking her daughter to bring a puppy down, to give to David. Then she hung up the phone, saying her daughter was coming down with the dog now, asked David to push her to the elevator. Looking at the endlessly dark corridor ahead, and the dilapidated building, he felt increasingly uneasy, but for the puppy, he still went in. The elderly lady noticed David's concern, said many people used to live here, but because it was about to be demolished, all tenants had moved elsewhere, and being old, she didn't plan to move again. She called her daughter again, saying she was almost at the elevator, asking her daughter to come down quickly. The further in they went, the more scared David became, especially as the elevator here seemed eerie. To delay the boy, the elderly lady took out the dog photos again, letting David look through them. At first everything seemed normal, but suddenly a photo appeared showing the elderly lady smoking, with a tattooed man beside her. David gradually realized something was wrong. Seeing the elevator coming down, the elderly lady kept trying to delay the boy, and was gripping his backpack tightly. David wanted to run away in fear. Seeing the prey about to escape, the elderly lady simply stood up, dropping her act, terrifying the boy who collapsed on the ground. As the elevator reached the first floor, David simply abandoned his backpack and ran outside. Those coming down weren't the elderly lady's daughter, but a group of human traffickers. They frantically chased after David. The consequences would be unthinkable if caught. Finally David saw light ahead. He ran desperately toward the exit, but just when he thought he could escape, suddenly a man appeared from outside. He was the man standing next to him earlier at the bus stop. Unexpectedly, he was working with the elderly lady. The next day, when the elderly lady and man came out, they began looking for new prey.